Hi everyone. If you've ever been intimidated by art supplies and feeling like you have to get all the colors, well, today I want to do a demonstration of gouache and show you how with just 5 colors you can create almost every color imaginable. This is just a quick sample that I did with these 5 colors, and I'm going to do a more in-depth version of this. I'm going to do all the mixing for you, as well as show you how you can water it down to show different values as well. Gouache is such an amazing medium. I've really enjoyed using it this past year. Today I'm using the Holbein brand, and these 5 colors are not the exact colors that you get in the mixing set, but these are 5 colors that are in their 12 color set. So today I have the Carmine PR 170, the Lemon Yellow PY3, Ultramarine Deep PB29, Permanent White PW6, and Ivory Black PBK6. So again, these are not the exact colors that are in the mixing set, but these are still really good primary colors to start out with. So let's get into it. In addition to the paints, I'm going to be using hot pressed watercolor paper. I like to use hot press with gouache just because it has that smooth surface texture. And I bought this really cute acrylic palette from Michaels. It's really just for decoration, but I am going to use it for mixing too. I'm also using a 1/2 inch flat brush to do all the mixing and the painting. So at first, I'm just going to put all the colors on here, and then I'm going to do all the mixing. I'm actually going to do multiple little dots because I want to show the mixtures and yeah, all of that. So I'm going to do red, yellow there, red, blue there. Now this white, this permanent white is what's used a lot in the Irodori set, Irodori, to create all those beautiful pastel colors. This black, ivory black, is very black, so I'm only going to squeeze just a tiny bit because you really don't need a lot. It's so dark, so opaque. All right, so first I'm just going to create a circle in the middle just so I can keep my colors together. I like to put my red at the top. So there's that. I'm just going to slowly work my way around as I add a little bit of yellow at a time. So the great thing about having such a limited color palette, I mean, any artist will agree, is that you will learn so much about your paints. You will learn so much about mixing, and having all those other colors that you see on my shelf or in my videos is really just out of convenience, you know, and it's not a bad thing, you know, it's not a bad thing. But if you really want to learn about your paints and how they mix and just how they look, yeah, working with a limited palette like this is really what you want to try to do. Okay, let me grab this yellow, beautiful color. Let's slowly start adding blue into it. Oop, that was way too much. I love how that some of these colors, you really only need such a tiny amount, you know? And you can just see how effortlessly it mixes. Like, I barely have to like really work it in. It's so creamy, so smooth. If you don't have an acrylic palette like this, obviously it's not the end of the world. You don't need a fancy palette like this. You really just need a porcelain plate. If you have one of those like butcher blocks, that's great. but you really don't need anything super fancy. Or if you just have one of those plastic palettes, that's totally cool too. Again, beautiful, just how this lays down. So effortless. Okay, let's get into the purples. So now let me show you just beyond this, right? If you were to add white, then you would get an even lighter color, obviously. So let me take a little bit of this, a tiny bit of that white. Just really love that color. You know, I might have to squeeze a little bit more of the blue since I kind of used it all up. I love that color right there. It's like not quite, you know, orange. It's like a coral, but not quite pinkish coral either. It's, let me try to very carefully grab some of this yellow. Oop. Okay. Some of this white and work it in there for this really nice pale yellow. Oh, really nice. Really beautiful. Okay, let's grab some more white and work it into some more of these colors. Now, if your paint, you know, dries from time to time, that's going to happen. So I like to keep a little spray bottle on hand, you know, just to give it like a really light mist. Usually one spritz will kind of just, you know, help reactivate. You don't want puddles forming on your palette, so you do want to be careful. So I'm just using a little bit at a time. I love how this is coming together. Okay, I think I need a little bit more blue and white. Now these primary colors, I haven't used a whole lot in my other paintings. So you can just see like how little I've used, you know. The white I use a lot, but I've been using this for 6 months. And granted, I haven't, you know, used white every single day, but I do squeeze a good substantial amount each time. I put it in my Stay Wet palette. I put it in my ceramic palette. I'm using it even now, but you know, these are 15 milliliter tubes, and seriously, one of these can go a long way. And again, I know that it seems really expensive. Really, a little goes a long way. Okay, let's keep it going. So let me take a little bit of this white and go into this blue. Oh, that's such a beautiful color. Ah. Okay, I need to mix more of that purple because I've definitely lost it. Let me also spritz a little bit of that. So let me take some of this red, put that blue in there. And let's get some white back in there. Ooh, yeah, look at that color. Really nice. Let's get some more of that white. But in this one, it's looking more like mauve-ish. Even more white. All right, so I've kind of lost count of how many colors I have so far, but basically I've doubled. I think I've got 24 colors now, right? So now from here, you know, I forgot to do the values, but you can easily just water these colors down to get even lighter colors, right? So because gouache is a water soluble paint, you know, I can just add a little bit of water to my brush, just pick up a little bit of this, right? And then make it even lighter. Now, this isn't how gouache is traditionally used, but it's not to say that it's wrong, but it's just a different way of working, you know? Oops, this one's the green one. And again, it's not to say that this is a wrong way at all. I know some people really don't like to use watered down values, and that's okay. And layering that way, yeah, just because I'm used to it. But I totally understand, like when people don't like it or they think that I'm not using it correctly. But you know, to that, I say, hey, art mediums are really up to your personal preference. You know, like you can use them however you want. There's no right or wrong way, honestly. Like, I mean, obviously you shouldn't be using watercolor paper on printer paper. Like that's not right, right? But who's to say that you can't use colored pencil on watercolor paper, right? Or you can't use acrylic on watercolor paper, or you can't use watercolors on, you know, wood or something. Well, actually you can paint on wood if you have watercolor ground. So again, there's ways around it, right? But I think what I'm trying to say is that there's no wrong way. You get to determine how you want to use these kinds of products, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. I'm just taking a little bit of water, just watering these down. I didn't think I would be able to get to all of them, but I think I did. So that's good. Okay, this color wheel is totally going out of control, but that's okay. All right, so I think the next thing I'm gonna do is now add just a little bit of black. Oh my God, look how pretty this palette is already. So again, you only need a tiny, tiny little bit. And you know what? I'm gonna use a different brush to pick up my black because I don't wanna keep, contaminating the black. And you know what? It dried just a little bit. I'm just going to spritz it with a little water. Let's get the black. Put a little bit there, a little bit there, a little bit here. I'm just kind of spreading it throughout the palette. Hopefully this doesn't go too terribly. I think I grabbed almost all the colors. Oh, you know, I need a little bit of black for my red. Yeah, see, I had the tiniest bit of black in there, and it's just, whoo, it took it from that red to this like beautiful deep, like it almost looks like the color right next to it, you know? You know, I don't know if I have enough of the orange left. Let me try to see if I can mix up another orange. And then add a little bit of black to that. Oh, okay. So sometimes what happens, you know what, I'm just not going to do it for every single color. I don't think I'll have room. So sometimes what happens when you add black to a color is that you might get a greenish color. And yeah, that's kind of what's happening even to this yellow mixture. So sometimes that happens because the black might be leaning slightly to like blue or something, you know. Add just a little bit more there. And this almost looks like green gray. Yeah, I mean, it's really pretty. So something else that I notice about what happens with the black, so it really tends to dull the color saturation. The white makes it a little bit more pastel, and it also helps with the opacity. But yeah, the black tends to really just dull the colors. All right, so now I've definitely lost count, and but you can just see just the range of beautiful colors. You know what? I'm gonna add the black in the middle. Okay. All right, guys. So what do you think? You know, these paints, again, you can get all this beautiful range of colors. You can play around by making a color wheel like this. I'm sure that the 5 color set that is in the mixing set will create a similar color wheel, but maybe slightly different hues, you know, because I think they use primary magenta. So this red might be more of a pinkish color. So then your blue, or so then your purples might actually be more vibrant, whereas mine came out a little duller. I used lemon yellow, but I think they use primary yellow. So again, it might be a little bit less greenish. And so your oranges might be a little bit brighter as well. So anyway, so please play around, you know, even if it's not these 3 primary colors, you can also just use any other, you know, most used colors and just see what you can create. And again, white and black are your friends. So when you buy tubes of gouache, always make sure, more than the black, always make sure to get an extra big tube of white. I actually have a huge tube of white that I have yet to really open just because I'm still working my way through this. And it's been 6 months of pretty consistent painting. Not every single day, but consistent enough. Granted, I do have a lot of the pastel colors, so I don't always use my white, and I probably would use it a lot more if I had a limited palette. Even in today's demo, I've used very little. So there you have it. If you've been on the fence about buying gouache, or you feel like you have to have all the colors, first of all, no, you don't. You can make do with just these 5. And buying just these 5 or buying that mixing set is going to be a lot easier on your wallet. And you're going to learn so much more about your paints. Again, coming from a watercolor background, I also love that I can create more colors or more hues just by adding more water to my gouache too. I think it's really important to invest in quality products, and I think anybody will agree that Holbein Artist Gouache is one of the best. There is a little bit of a value shift, meaning that it does dry slightly darker than when you first place it on the paper. I am a Holbein brand ambassador, so I do talk a lot about the qualities and the characteristics of Holbein products, but I actually bought this original set myself 2 years ago, and I actually did a video on my first look at them, and then I didn't touch them for such a long time. But then I came back to them during my 100-day project earlier this year, and I am just in love, as you can see. So again, even though I am a brand ambassador and I know a lot about Holbein, I wouldn't have become a brand ambassador if I didn't truly believe and love their products. And I can tell you right now, I've only tried a few other gouache brands, but Holbein really is my favorite. If you like this demonstration, please give my channel a subscribe. Please like this video and comment if you've used their mixing set or what color on this color wheel is your favorite. And stay tuned for more Holbein content. I'll see you next time.